All right, welcome to the party, pals. Let's see. So I see a bunch of different people hopping in. We got Rhonda, we got Space Tacos, Misty Eyed. Let's see. We got AMK, C Allen, AV Showtime, Teehee, Flakinator, a bunch of GRC Mafia flowing in here. Now, just a reminder, if you guys want to go through and get your weekly badge, let me go ahead and pull this up right quick. Let me see here. And then I have a couple things to go through like we typically do. And then we'll go ahead and get the stage opened up. So this week is our open discussion. So the middle of the month is always going to be an open discussion. That gives us opportunity to just hop up on stage, socialize, bring up whatever topics you guys would like, and just handle it that way. No like designated topic or otherwise. So for the badge, you want to go ahead and go into our Discord server in the live chat, drop GRC Mafia in all caps, and earn your weekly badge that way. You get a little GRC Mafia icon next to your name. And then let's see here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just start going through this real quick. Let me double check chat. Oh, we got Steph Cluis hopping in as well. Welcome to the party. Brenda, welcome to the party, pal. All right, so let's get started. So the first 2 weeks of each month will be speakers, and then job readiness and group resume review is the last Thursday of each month. So next week we'll be doing group resume review live on air during our meeting next week. We do have 2 resumes prepped, ready to go for that. If you guys would like your resume to be reviewed, the best way to do that is just reach out to me. You can also hop onto our Discord server, and underneath the info and links, you'll see a drop down at the very bottom where you can actually open a private ticket and then just submit your redacted resume to us to add to the list. All right. Let's see. So shared mission. So we're all here for the same, similar purposes and so forth. So breaking down barriers, collaborating, making a more secure future together. It's difficult to learn a lot of these different topics. We all come from different backgrounds. So leverage the community, ask questions, bring up your topics, especially at this meeting. We don't have anything ready to go. Like, this is just us hanging out at this point. And I'll be opening up the stage right after I'm done here. Some of the guidelines, especially if you guys come up, this is a business casual meeting. It is recorded and live streamed. Don't share anything you don't want to be public. If you do happen to share something that you don't want to be public, just reach out to me on Discord, LinkedIn, or you can also contact me at this email here, and we'll figure out what we can do. If you do want to come up on stage, you do not have to turn on your video if you don't want to, but definitely ask your questions, whether it's up on stage or in chat. We're going to try to moderate that as much as possible. Also, share your personal LinkedIn. Hop into our Discord server, and you could drop your LinkedIn there, and it'll go ahead and broadcast it throughout all of our platforms. And share resources and what you're working on and so forth. Check out our website, so studygrc.org, for the rest of our platforms. Maybe you prefer to watch on Twitch, which has like almost no delay, whereas YouTube is like almost 20 seconds. There's also simplycyber.io, so a lot of you are familiar with that. That's an awesome place to be too. And then also Brit White, so I'm dropping both of these as well. We do not have any sponsors. We are looking for sponsors, and like we talked about during the State of Study GRC at the beginning of the month, or like I think it was last week, we are working on that. So I just dropped both of those links in chat as well for the Simply Cyber, and B-Dubs puts out a great article on different topics every single Monday. And then we also have our privacy stream Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Now, our privacy streams, I will let you know now, this next one on Tuesday is going to be the last one for season 1. So that's going to make 9 episodes for season 1. And then we're going to take like a 6-week break, and then we're going to go ahead and throw out season 2. And then more news to follow with that aspect. Let me go ahead and transition over here. Oh, welcome, Flakinator. Yeah, a lot better with popcorn, huh? Wow, that's huge on the screen. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to go ahead and share, so for those of you who went through and joined me yesterday when I streamed about the 812, I went ahead and linked it to you guys. But with this being the primary meeting, I just wanted to quickly cover, starting in February, on February 3rd, Study GRC will be streaming 5 days a week. I want to premise that with the fact that I understand that people have lives, family, work, the whole 9 yards. So don't feel obligated to have to jump in. However, it's just more value add. It's something that we're capable of doing, and it's something that just adds more value to the community. We can also talk about this in further detail as well, but what we're looking at doing is, so Monday and Tuesday will be hands-on labs, about an hour each. Wednesday will be a technical day where we'll spend about an hour working on technical related topics, like maybe going through Try Hack Me or something along those lines. And then Thursday will always be our meeting at 6 p.m. Central. And then Friday, we're talking about doing an AMA. So definitely some big things coming up. And so that's going to start rolling out on February 3rd. So, I'm not sure what Space Tacos is talking about there. Yeah, I'll double check chat here in a moment. But yeah, just so you guys know, we are going to go through and start doing the 5 days a week. So we are looking at 11 a.m. for all of the days except Thursday. 11 a.m. just seems to work well. You can always watch it on replay and so forth. But 11 o'clock works well for the EU. It's also lunch break and so forth. And we'll take it from there. So I'm going to go ahead. Two other things, actually. So real quick, so B-Dubs has definitely been putting a lot of time in and so forth and wants to do even more for the community. So we went ahead and gave her a promotion to VP for Study GRC as well. What that means is not only is she working multiple jobs, but then also she's CFO and VP. So she has the same responsibilities I have when I'm not present, when I'm not able to conduct business. So that's 11 a.m. Central stuff. So yeah, I got to get used to saying, the time zones and so forth. But yeah, 11 a.m. So it's going to be noon Eastern time and 11 a.m. Central is the time that we're looking at. That's what we've been doing for this the special streams, and we're going to continue to do with that. And then our Thursday meeting will always be 6 p.m. Central. So perfect. And then also on this previous screen, I'll swap back to this real quick. So we also were talking about with the state of Study GRC. I'm horrible at selling myself and anything really. I'm great at, I could sell other people up all day long, but we do have this donate QR code here. And so we did go through and based on board vote, of course, and I'll get more comfortable with it, but don't feel obligated to do so. But we do have a donation page as well. Which just goes for, it's not going to really change much else other than just give us more ability, more capability to do more than we already do. And then with that part said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the stage. So everybody's welcome to come up if you guys would like to. I'm going to catch up on chat real quick here. And then, like I said, it's just open discussion. So let me know whatever you guys want to talk about. Yeah, and I'll drop that badge thing again too. So the way that you do the badge is every single week we reset it, and then you just go into our live chat on our Discord server and just GRC Mafia in capital letters with a space in between, which I'll drop in chat how it's supposed to look. And then you get that badge next to your name. You'll also get a check mark if it's successful. All right. Yeah, I see a few of you guys hopping in here. Like Flakinator just got it. I see AB got it. Jenny grabbed it. Bam. Space Tacos grabbed it. Rhonda got it. GRC Mafia. All right. And then so like Misty Eye mentions 5 days a week. Sheesh. I'm going to need more. I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Amphetamines. Yeah.
Amphetamines.
Go for it. Yeah, you do it. I'm not.
Amphetamines.
Amphetamines. It just makes me want to, say the other word for it. But yeah, so 5 days a week is a lot, and so we are going to have like a time limit of about an hour each, just for like mental health. But then also it's just going to be more value add to the community. So of course not everybody's going to be able to join every video or otherwise, but it's going to be recorded. The 2 hands-on days we are going to sort into playlists. so like those hands-on, we're going to start building out the GRC program like we discussed, like a risk register, policies and procedures, and so forth. And so like let's say for an example, on Monday I start risk register. So then Mondays will be risk register until we're done with that project. So then every single week we'll do it for about an hour or so, and then we'll just put all of those into a risk register hands-on lab playlist while we actually build out Study GRC's platform. And the community is welcome to assist with it as well. If you guys want to not only help brainstorm and so forth, but also if you want to contribute policies and procedures or do an assessment on one of the platforms we use or otherwise. And I see Space Tacos hopped up here.
Hello.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Well, thanks. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Frozen?
You excited?
Frozen.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm actually double checking right now. It is, oh wow, it's only 3 degrees here. The other day it was negative 38.
Ah,
only 3 degrees.
Yeah, it's only 3. I think Coco mentions here, new to the group, interested in GRC, background in teaching and research.
Yay, teachers!
Yeah, welcome to the party, pal. Yeah, that's awesome. The video is not released yet, but we are doing a Meet the Community series, and Space Tacos over here comes from an educational background.
Yes, I do.
Along with a couple other people. Let's see. How's your week going, Space Tacos?
I'm learning how do I put this politically correct? I'm learning to decipher and determine true intentions behind words and actions of those being audited.
I think that would follow underneath the working on your mental health state.
It feels like more like my Sherlock Holmes mental state.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I wish it was Monday again. This week has flown by. I need more time before we're. So some of the other information is like the 3rd just works out better because of scheduling. Because also I'm going to like try to set up like automations for some of it, and just get the workflows to make it as easy as possible to transition to that. A couple weeks ago, I did stream 5 days 1 week, and it's certainly possible. So, yeah.
Just sounds crazy.
Yeah. Somebody's got to start a GRC boot camp. Might as well be Study GRC.
I take it back. It doesn't sound crazy. It just sounds like a lot. Sounds like
boot camp.
Yes.
Boot camp.
Well, and so the biggest thing that you guys can do to benefit and help the community with it is we need ideas, because we are going to build out the program for Study GRC, but we need feedback on what you guys want to see. What do you guys want to work on? Because especially doing 5 days a week, we're going to run out of things eventually, at least ideas. So more feedback, tell us what you're working on, what do you want to learn, and so forth is a huge benefit. And dropping that in Discord is like the best way to do it.
How about a never-ending series walking through the the testing objectives of like the most popular GRC credentials?
Yeah.
You said ideas.
Like that would be. Oh yeah, no, exactly. And there was a note that I made of one of them that somebody said yesterday. Let me pull that up. It's somewhere here, somewhere over the rainbow. Like working on different case studies and scenarios as well was another one, which I think would work really well with like a technical day for different scenarios. Oh yeah, and GRC Mafia. You got yours, Space Tacos?
I don't have that one because they ran out before I could get mine, but I have the other one.
Gap analysis, bam.
It was an accident.
We got another person hopping in here as well. Oh, we got Steph sitting in the backstage too. Flakinator and Steph popping in.
Cheers.
Welcome to the party, pal. I am noting down gap analysis right now. That'd be good after a Qualys scan.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Thanks.
I'm just taking notes here real quick. Yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourself or otherwise. Oh, your mic's not on there.
Whose mic? Mine?
Oh, I think Steph was trying to talk.
Oh, no, I had the stream open and I was like, wait, there's way too much talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, did you guys want to introduce yourself, Steph?
Sure. I'm Steph. Of course.
Do you mind if I drop your LinkedIn?
Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm a junior information security officer. So GRC, yay. And Space Taco's also a former educator.
Woo!
Survivors.
Yeah.
Survivors. Former educator here too.
Did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, David?
Oh, sure. I'm David, or Flakinator, whatever you want. If you want to drop my LinkedIn, that's up to you, Chris. Doesn't matter to me.
I gotta find it first. I found it.
That one.
Yeah, and so I'm dropping these LinkedIns in chat if you guys want to go through and connect. Let's double check here. Davey said something there. Flakinator cage matches with PBO.
Yeah, we can have PBO do cage matches with the people that he works with. Remember when he says he has sometimes has to get into a fist fight almost with him? I think that's cool to see. And we can do it as what not to do on the job.
I mean, I would pay to see that, honestly.
Yeah, I think that could be,
We might have to make a separate channel for that because I don't want to take liability on whoever's the victim in the situation.
You just have to have an agreement that's so long no one reads it.
Yeah. Space Taco says GRC cage fighting channel.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things that I did mention in the Discord server is doing a GRC rap video. And I was thinking what would be cool is to do I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the epic rap battles of history. And so I was going to have a pen tester and then myself, and we'll just develop a script and, have an epic rap battles of history. I thought that would be pretty fun if anybody has ideas for that.
Well, you could also reach out. Was that Joe Hudson who did the thing for Simply Cyber?
Yes.
See if you do something specifically for GRC, like the study GRC or whatever. So he's a good guy. I wrote to him on LinkedIn and said, told him I love the intro.
GRC has his own Thunder Punch drink.
Well, what about if I knew PBO's contact, I could send him the image I sent you, Chris. Was that earlier in the week? Of PBO warming up for the Thunder Punch?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and also Space Tacos got in on that too with a bunch of different images for it. Let's see.
Yeah, that was fun.
We also got Rhonda and Albright in chat as well. Did you guys have anything in particular, interesting going on?
Just the deciphering and decoding.
The audit job I interviewed for I should hear about it hopefully next week.
For what is it?
SOX, SOX audit.
Oh, yeah, the Sarbanes-Oxley.
Yeah,
nice.
Yes, we'll see.
One of the different discussions we had started in, I think it was during one of the morning jaw jackings pre-show in Simply Cyber this morning, we were talking a little bit about the ethics and benefits and so forth of AI, which is obviously a very hot topic. We should actually schedule an official stream all about that because we've touched on it before and talked about it a little bit, but we've never actually had a Thursday meeting with a presenter for AI risk and the whole discussion around that. And Yeah, AMK. It's just the green screen still. I'm working on mess. It's not that bad.
Mess.
Well, I would love to have someone talk about AI because I'd be curious their thoughts too on the fact that they're trying to remove all the guardrails to let them just go crazy with it. So I'd be curious to see, like, someone who works with it all the time, what their thoughts are on it.
Who's they?
Them.
Who?
I
The guardrails?
Trump, I think, just did an executive order to try to remove the guardrails. So stuff doesn't have to be. It could just be. They could just go nuts with it at this point.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is the department off of CISA or otherwise that was for like the AI ethics board, basically, that was dissolved or disbanded or otherwise.
Yeah.
So that agreement with the different AI companies, from my understanding, no longer is valid. There's just so much information in the whole AI realm. I think it's just going to get bigger and so forth. And getting somebody who actually works with the AI risk and knows more in depth would be a benefit.
Yeah, I would love that.
I thought it was an interesting conversation.
Well, and you're going to want to like decide, do you want to do it from a developing perspective of developing your own AI model and using it? Or my side is more like, oh, how does that affect the business that I work for and the vendors that we do business with? That's like the side that I've.
Yeah, that's what we kind of been trying to figure out. How does that fit into work, especially when everybody wants to put Gen AI in there. So do you want to put company PII and they training on your data that they're going to give to other people? Yep. Obviously, that's a no. So you got to figure out what your third-party assessment is, what your training to your users is. How do you monitor your training to make sure they're not putting your intellectual property into a training model? And I don't know if everybody's been looking at the Davos stuff where all the rich people is. They talking nothing about it. They talking everything about AI. Larry Ellison from Oracle, the CEO for Salesforce, JP Morgan, everybody's in Davos is talking about AI. So I'm going to start slicing those and kind of talking over top of them. But so that's super hot. The Davos and the rich tech people just all over AI and just the productivity of AI. Are we going to productivity? I'll be unemployed because it's so productive in the future. So that was one of the topics.
Oh, God.
So PBO, bring it all good now. Bring out good cheer. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, you can add Flakinator.
So I do agree that AI is productive sometimes. But I have to say that when you put trash in, you get trash out. And that's part of the problem, is that no one truly knows all the data that's been put in. And some of it is just garbage data that gets put in. So you're going to get stuff back, and they still have hallucinations. They still have other stuff that happens. Not to mention some of the places isn't Meta getting nailed for using copyrighted material, and they've just had internal documents that they found where even Zuckerberg was like, yeah, that's cool, just use it anyway, I don't really care, where employees were like, we shouldn't be using this, and he didn't care, and
OpenAI is going through their own huge lawsuit right now, dealing with also using copyrighted materials.
And they also, it's because they also know the fine will be like a couple $1 million, and they'll be like, whatever, we made that in 3 seconds, so I don't care.
It's in their budget. It's in their budget.
Straight money soundbite, Chris.
Cash for me.
Yeah. So that's in their budget. So that's part of.
Yeah. So
that's part of doing business for them.
Yeah. So I feel like it does have some good things. Like I do play around with Night Cafe, which is fun because it allows you to do AI generated images and stuff. But I mean, the fact that it's known that they're using data that they shouldn't, copyrighted material, and that, yes, you can tell your employees, please don't put any, personal information or business information or whatever in it. They're not going to stop doing it because all they're going to see is, I don't really care what you're telling me. This gets my job done faster. So I don't care. So they're kind of putting stuff out there anyway. So
sucks though is that no one's getting paid any more money for being productive.
Correct.
Boo.
That's a good point.
Seriously, I see all these commercials for like increased productivity. Like IBM's like, oh, you're so much more productive. And I'm like, great. So the worker gets to be more productive and wages stagnate like they have been.
Yeah, the company's going to make more money. And
well, yeah, but they're not sharing the money. And we don't have to start talking about
wow, Steph got super aggressive with that one. Steph got so aggressive with that one. And
I think we got our first cage match. First cage match right there.
PBO may not be the only one throwing punches.
Yes, definitely. But no, she's right, because they were like talking about productivity and using less developers. But Steph's right. They were like, instead of you doing 6 points in a sprint, you can do 12 more points, but that means you need 2 less programmers, right? So that's kind of how AI is going to be more productive with that. And they said the programming, last time they did it 2 years ago, it was the millionth best programmer. Then it was like the 500. Now it's in the top 100. So it's incrementally getting better.
True, but you still need people to double check that code. So
yeah, but like we just said,
you won't need as many.
But you cut junior programmers out. I think junior programmers in the next couple of years are going to be done. So
it's like, how do you get experience doing anything? And no, like if you read that book, like Jerry has it on his website, The Coming Wave. Oh, God. Don't read it if you want to feel good about where we're going with AI.
I have that waiting for me at the library.
One of these messages here, let me pull it up. So they were saying right here, so then what should we do as InfoSec professionals? Obtain AI certs as much as we can. And I just wanted to address that part because like there's a lot of negativity around it, but also at the same time, like we don't really know for sure the future itself. So like a lot of other like much smarter people have stated, Jason Haddix, for an example, has like I attended one of his webinars and he was talking about how it's not the thing is like you need to upskill in that department because it's going to become such a large sector of the industry as it already is. And jobs, it's not that there's going to be less jobs, there's just going to be different jobs.
Correct.
So that's where you're getting like the prompt engineering and so forth. And like we talked about in one of the previous streams, I shared one of the websites where there's already a company with like a level 1 SOC analyst that's 100% AI that costs $25,000 a year, 24 hours a day.
Yep.
So the technology is already getting there and making advancements. So yeah.
The fun part about this
is there even entry level to begin with is the question though.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Well, so it actually it'll cause a couple issues, right? So one, it's now a new attack vector, right? Because if you think about it, if all you have to do is hit the AI that's monitoring all the logs to then be able to screw with the logs, so then you can get in and they won't even see you because no one's going to understand what the logs say in a handful of years because you're getting rid of all the low-level people. And again, it's the other. And then the other issue is if you get rid of all the low-level people, you know, not to call PBO out, but me too. I mean, we're old, and our knowledge will disappear at some point. And if I wasn't going to call you out, Space Tacos, you know, but as the older groups go and younger groups come in, if the younger groups don't learn it, then that goes away, and then there's no one to double check to make sure stuff's right. So then when it breaks, it's like, great, who do we call now because it's broken? And the answer is no one. You know, and it happens all the time, which is why you still have crazy mainframes running around from like 40, 50 years ago, and the people that run them make insane amount of money because you have like 4 of them that know how to use it, and that's it. But at some point, they're still never going to get rid of these mainframes, but at some point those people go away. Then what do you do? You know, AI can monitor and stuff, but can it fix it if it's also broken? At the moment, no, and maybe it will at some point, but if no one really knows what it's doing to fix it, how do you know it's really doing it or doing it properly?
I think that's the evolution of tech. Because I mean, you with me. I program actually an 808 baud modem, right? We don't try to decipher communications between DSL, right? No. That's just so stable, right? We accept it. So I think in the future, those things will get at a certain level, right? Where they just be accepted, right? So so that's kind of my 2 cents on it. But
you do still have, he's right, you do still have these weird legacy technologies that exist in infrastructure, and then people leave, and they were talking about it on like that CISO mentoring, whatever cyber mentor thing.
Well, to me, the concern too, especially with AI, is that new attack vector. Like, that's a huge area to hit, and the fun part is that the hackers and everybody, they go long game.
Oh yeah.
So to them, you slowly start dropping in the stuff you want to drop in that is going to screw it up, and then like a year later, maybe it's screwed up, but it would happen slowly, so people might not fully notice.
Of course,
companies haven't even addressed the threat vectors we already have. Yeah. So, like, that's one reason I don't even look at the threat vector of AI use, is because, like, there's already so many different ones anyways. It's just one more. And there's always will be more that we aren't even aware of. Look at, like we talked about, supply chain not even being a thought.
Look at Microsoft.
I think about supply chain.
Five supply chain vendors.
Yeah, I think about supply chain a lot. But two is, though, I think that's the same thing they said about the cloud, right? 10 years ago. I was anti-cloud. Their security sucks. Our security is always going to be better than I figured out. Yeah, we got 10 dudes at DOD. Amazon has 2,000, right? Yeah. So I think you would get some of that kind of in AI. You get some of they're being responsible for a lot of those attack vectors for SaaS. And I know bigger companies, when I work for big companies, we had in there, if you get us hacked, we need your $20 million cyber insurance, homie, because we spending $5 million a year, right? So I think you'll have some of those kind of protections from give us your money type stuff, right? From a DPA and from a cybersecurity and third party.
Well, it brings up the next issue too, where like the cloud, and I'm still semi-anti-cloud with some of it just because of some of the silliness that does happen. It's wonderful in some aspects, not in others, I kind of think. And the main aspect that I'm really against is the fact that once you're locked in, it's hard to leave them. They know it, so they jack the prices up. So just wait, because that's going to happen. Once AI starts taking over, it's going to be the same way. It's going to be like, well, you're locked in, it trained on all your data, it knows you. If you leave, you then have to retrain somewhere else, and no company's going to want to waste all that time. But the price is going to keep going up, and they're going to be like, yeah, well, it is, but it still would cost us more to leave. And then, you know, in the short run, it'll cost more to leave. In the long run, it would be better. But again, companies don't like to play the long game anymore, really. They are more about the short game. And it's, how do I make the numbers for this quarter? Which, from a stock standpoint, is great. So go for it.
Did anybody notice how Google just like sneaked AI into Workspace without any type of administrative controls? They were just like, you're welcome. Now you have this chat bot that you can use in these apps. And my organization was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, heads up. They just went ahead and did this because we were like, we're not turning this on yet. We're still developing our AI policy. And that's the kind of stuff that worries me more than the attack vector things of them getting into your AI and like poisoning your AI or something, like the prompt injection. I worry more about like, how do you, if you're a business of your own and you have customers to answer to, you have to be able to answer questions about how your vendors use AI and what is happening with their data. And companies are not being transparent. Google is fairly, they have really good like literature you can read about it, but I just don't appreciate, and PBO knows this because we talked about this the last time we were on together, the lack of transparency with that these big companies are just like, we know you want it because we're telling you that you want it and giving it to you. And they're just like shoving it down your throat with no way to be like, no, thanks, we don't want to use it.
Yeah, and they Microsoft's bad about that. When I was doing some work with them,
I don't use Microsoft.
They love them, but I would just look in there. I'm like, what is this new program? Did we review it? And they said we couldn't. I was like, you should let us opt in. They go, no, we're trying to help you. I'm like, dude, you putting stuff out there. I got to do a risk assessment. And they just told me to pound sand. I was like, I'm like, we should be able to opt in. So I can do a security review, and if we don't want to do, like you said, as a company, if we don't opt in, then our users shouldn't be able to use it. But Microsoft's giving you this rich ecosystem. They give you a lot of cool tools, and the users love them, right? Shout out to the users, but security, I was like, dude, that is crazy to me. But,
well, I think I just read that Microsoft is going to be forcing home and pro users that are on Windows 10, is it 22H2? They're forcing them to 11 as long as their machine qualifies to run it. Thankfully, mine does not. But
there's no updates, though. I don't think they're giving security patches out for it after a certain month.
After October, I think it is, unless you pay for it.
I don't think you could pay for it even. Did they say?
I thought it's over pretty soon.
Well, and one of the points that I was going to make is another thing that I've heard is that companies are also worried. Yeah. What?
October 14th.
Yeah, we have talked about it.
Yeah, well, and so what I was going to mention is that companies are also concerned about the shadow portion of AI too, where the shadow IT aspect. So employees just using AI outside of the environment already because you don't have it in your environment yet under, policies and so forth. So that's another potential issue. So then companies may feel obligated to implement something official.
Yeah. And I said this before, and everybody cringes up. And I'll be dead serious. I told my boss, you just need to fire one person a year, and everybody fall in line. You just need to get one person a year, man. Everybody fall in line. They was like, you can't say that. I'm like, I'm for real, big boss. That's up to you.
Yes, I can.
You fire one person, it gets around the company quick. We just need one person.
Yeah, it sounds bad, but he's not wrong.
So, but
sure that's not a boomer aspect?
Probably. I'm close to a boomer. I'm right behind him.
I'm just throwing it out there.
No, that's a good question. That shadow IT's kind of always been a problem because we have to get our velocity up from IT perspective and cybersecurity because we're trying to review them. We're stopping productivity. We stopping new functionality, and we stopping business, right? So security and GRC, we got to get our velocity up. Meaning you got to be able to review stuff. You got to get it turned around. You got to get a group hug with legal. Then you got to get a group hug with procurement. Because I used to get stuff in my box waiting on you. I'm like, how the hell y'all waiting on me? but you got to get your velocity up.
Don't fire me.
Yeah, don't fire me.
So we didn't touch on, the one person was talking about like certs and all this stuff about AI and everything. And I know I brought up certs and stuff. We've all discussed certs before. So you got to be careful with certs, especially the new ones. Because, right, Chris, you and I have had this discussion. When a new cert comes out, people might jump on it. The company might be like, hey, we'll give this to you for free if you want to just take it, pass it, and then you can, advertise you have it. You kind of have to wait sometimes because the cert could come out. But if all companies are like, we don't really care about it, that's a piece of crap cert. And I'm not calling any out, because I don't really know which are and which aren't. Like we know CompTIA is well known and they're well known. So you're usually pretty okay with them. But some of the companies pop up, put the certs, want the money, but no companies ever really acknowledge the certs truly. And it's like, you got to be careful what certs you go for. I'm not saying don't cert, but you got to be careful.
Well, and that's the entire thing around the certification industrial complex that I mentioned time and time again. Because if you ever are going to consider getting a certification at any level, the certification industrial complex by Graham Helton is absolutely amazing. It's not against certifications. It basically comes down to figure out the return on investment. Like, is it even worth it? Are you going to get your time back? Because you could study something and learn the knowledge without having to pay the $900 exam fees for it, and so forth. It's a huge love-hate relationship, and I don't see a future where we're going to get rid of certifications. But with the NICE framework and role-based training becoming more popularized, I hope for one day to where it's less dependent on. But it's definitely interesting. Come on, Space Tacos. Is that you? Wow. Ruining the whole movie here.
Man.
But yeah, so I dropped that in chat for the certification industrial complex. Yeah, figuring out the ROI, the return on the investment that you're going to get is the hardest part.
you also have to look at it too, right? Because some of them, like you said, like SANs and stuff, it's off the chart how expensive they are. And when you run into those, that typically means one thing. Not that they're good or not that they're bad. They're meant for a company to pay for and not an individual. So you also have to understand which are which, because you don't want to go pay for a SAN cert. You want your company to pay for it.
Well, exactly. And we did get a couple other questions too. One kind of interesting one. Hopefully PBO is still over here. Does anybody here have knowledge for OT GRC? That's operational technology, right? Like that's really close with SCADA and industrial control systems.
Should be, yeah. That's usually what OT is, right?
I think that's what he's talking about.
Does anybody here have that?
Yeah.
From a theoretical standpoint, all right, you talking about SCADA, usually talking about nuclear and power plants. I did a couple of videos on that. From a GRC perspective, especially nuclear power plants, I think a lot of the same things come into play. Because when you're talking about SCADA, right, you're talking about dealing with the electrical boards, those type of things. So I think your stuff still applies, right? Good hygiene. The things they really do for those is you want to keep those off the internet and you want to manually update those. That's kind of what I see when I see a lot of SCADA.
Well, check this out.
What year is that?
September of 2023, Guide to Operational Technology Security, 882.
Open it up.
And it looks like in 2024, there's some planning note.
Because, all the big tech is building nuclear power plants now for all their AI training. Google's got one.
True.
Microsoft. I'm old. When you talk about opening up 3 Mile Island, I just start twitching, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think people, and there's some new nuclear technology out there. I had a friend of mine. He's pretty high up. He started out as a nuclear engineer. So we was talking about nuclear power plants with big data. So we were kind of breaking that down, what that would look like.
Well, I think, aren't they getting close to almost like portable-ish ones that are like
they are. They are, but I guess FERC, they do the authority to operate those. Normally that takes like 7 years for them to a new nuclear kind of power plant technology. So that was one of the questions, how quickly do they think that would happen?
This is a 316-page NIST document.
Facts. Shout out to
so
NIST.
Short. A short document.
Have
right?
you? Oh yeah, just a single PBO stream for sure. Have you come across this yet, Chris Collins? You asked the original question for OT. You did say that that there's a NIST SP for everything. Yeah, pretty much. That's usually my first go-to is just go to NIST. NIST, and then Simply Cyber's YouTube channel, PBO's YouTube channel. There's a couple other ones too that's like on our resources page as well. I do know one person that does work in ICS in GRC for risk, but they don't make it to our event, sadly. But I can definitely drop their information in Discord or otherwise, if that's something that you're like working with or trying to figure something out on.
AWS has their smart power grid technology, and they kind of went over what they believe was best practices from a cloud connecting to a smart grid.
Yeah, this looks like a very thorough document. You should definitely review this one, PBO.
I'm trying to get my class done, man. You're trying to distract me. Shout out to B-Dubs with her new role.
Building an OT cybersecurity business case.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting document. I don't think this is a very big market, though, is it?
Yes and no, because you got to think all the big techs got to do it because they go on nuclear, and I think it's one of those things that's small, but it's going to be super lucrative because the failure of that means the United States blows up the nuclear power plant. So I think and now we've been talking about trying to fix our smart grid for 30 years, man. So I think that will fall on the smart grid too.
Yeah. I'm going to take this out. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. I hadn't previously looked that up at all. One of the other questions here too, which we can kind of go around the room on, I think this comes up at almost every video at this point. So what would be your recommendation to somebody new to GRC? I know this is a loaded question. So we actually have a YouTube playlist, which I'll drop here in just a moment, which includes like Jerry Ozier's, 2025 GRC, guide basically. And we went through and made a YouTube playlist of a bunch of videos to like get started and help you out from the get-go, from like ground zero. But then also like if anybody else, like we could kind of just move around the room. What's your advice, B-dubs?
Brand new to GRC, it really depends if you're brand new to security and GRC, or if you're just brand new to GRC but you have experience in security. So I feel like there's two ways to kind of answer that.
And then Steph, or
Oh yeah, no, B-dubs, I agree.
It is a very loaded question.
It is. So it's like, do you have like, are you pivoting into it, or like
you have IT background, no
Yeah.
IT background, which is
Right.
it's fine, but there's different ways to answer the question.
Yeah, and I can't really speak for like a fresh career change. Like I changed careers from being an educator to going into IT, and then from IT I was able to get into security because I did security stuff as an IT technician. But the path is gonna be different for everybody.
Right.
So the clarification of like that technical background, if you have someone that's willing to teach you and mentor you, isn't as necessary. But I'm still going through even like try hack me stuff just so that I can have a good, overview of the land of cyber. So because how do you know what to secure and how to secure it if you don't know how a computer works or networking, so you have to know how it all works to be able to be like, yes, this is how you keep it safe. So,
Well, and it's really good to have kind of a basic security knowledge, even red and blue team, just the bigger picture, foundational knowledge, so that if you're getting into compliance or even just auditing stuff, you know what you're looking at, how it affects those other teams, and yeah, there's a lot of different moving parts. So it's really dependent on that background.
yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think everyone wants to know for pivoting, and I think the follow-up is that they're a business system analyst. So, I mean, don't business analysts have experience with like Python and some? No, I mean, the business analysts I knew did, but
because when you say business analyst, I usually think coming under PMs. For
I
us,
guess I'm thinking of a data analyst, which is a little, I guess.
Yeah, if you say data analyst, for us, business analysts come under PM. So you running meetings, kind of taking notes, running projects. But companies have different names for different roles too. So.
True.
Yeah. So, I mean, the experience with the corporate world will be helpful, and your like skills to be able to communicate, like the soft skills part will be great because technical people often lack good soft skills. Not always, but it's definitely a theme. So having those soft skills will like definitely work in your favor to pivot. So you'll just probably want to work at building an IT foundation. Like I got my A+ because I don't have a background in education. Like my education background is not in computers. It's in education. So great soft skills here, but I didn't have quite the technical background. I can teach 8th graders and not smart adults how to use computers. So I had to kind of like build my knowledge as I worked as an IT person. So if you can get in kind of that way or in an auditing capacity or something like that first, that's probably the easiest like path in.
Yeah, I think audit is probably the biggest part of the sector. I would probably, from what I've seen.
Well, and I
Even
see
though
you
there's a
just
lot that flows under.
I see you just dropped Jerry's Masterclass link, and that's a great place to start for pivoting to GRC from another security field, or know background in security, doesn't matter where you're starting. That's a great place to start for GRC. Fully
Well, I'd say
support
if you
that.
can afford it, probably his Cyber 101 class would probably be really beneficial as well, if depending on the level of your skill in just cyber in general, because you should understand the different fields of cybersecurity and how they kind of fit together. And there's a lot of information to sift through. I've been in, only in it for a couple of years, and I still feel like I have so much. I'm still learning so much, which I love, and there's still so much to learn. But I look back at where I was a year ago versus where I am now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look how much I've learned, but still have a lot more.
It's crazy how much changes in a year. Rhonda said patience is the biggest soft skill she had to learn. I couldn't agree more, especially when you're job hunting. It can be really discouraging and make you feel like you can't get a job, but you absolutely can. But you definitely have to work on that patience and wait for the right opportunity, as well as doing what we're doing here tonight, and networking, making friends, and building relationships, because you never know when your next opportunity is going to come. So I kind of wanted to throw that out there.
That's true. I also wouldn't pass up the opportunity to just get into a tech field and get experience with IT if you're not taking too big of a pay cut, because you never know. Also, building relationships in the organization that you work at, and if you can move laterally or even slightly up and get involved in security, and you can get experience doing that and then move into a new role. That's how I was successful in moving into GRC.
Yeah. Well, and so I dropped the link not only for the masterclass, but also I can drop it again for the playlist if you guys wanted it. But this is also amazing conversation, because especially with the broader questions like that, oh, how do I get into GRC? That really depends on the individual level, just like other people have already stated. So yeah, that would be something where coming up on stage, giving your background, having your resume reviewed during our meeting next week would come in. Find that transferable skills and so forth. But that's exactly why we have the Discord and community and so forth. So there's a lot more than just the streams themselves.
I'd love to comment too. I mean, I agree with Steph. I think A+ is the way to go, and I don't. And if you're doing the A+, get the actual cert. Go through it and get the cert. Because if you don't
we're certing up.
Well, if you don't have any IT experience, the A+ is the basic.
And also build a computer and stuff too. Do actually get hands-on experience if you're not doing it in a work setting. Sorry if an air didn't mean it.
No, it's fine. I know Davey made a great comment too. Cisco, they have free networking course stuff you can do, which are really good. I played with it a little bit to get some networking experience. I would also then say Network Plus. Not necessarily get the Network Plus, but buy the book, read it, learn the stuff. If you want to go into security, I would say Security Plus as well. Cert. So I would say A+ and Security Plus certs are the two you probably definitely want. As for the others, the knowledge is really what you'll need. You can also, especially if you're a business analyst, I agree with Chris that the audit route is probably where you'd want to fall. And you could probably push some really good soft skills with that. And it also looks like a lot of the GRC audit roles are looking for a CISA cert.
Yes.
Or some of those types of certs. So without any experience, that might be something, but that also might be more of a discussion in an interview, if you're getting interviews, and see if they would like you to get that cert. If so, if you get hired, would it be within 3 months, or because maybe they'll even help pay for it? Because if it's required, if it's something they want I would also say look at people.
I was just going to mention.
Look at some people that's that
the lack
gentleman.
of standardization.
Yeah, Cybersecurity. Steele, I forget his name. I gave him to you, Chris, a little while ago, who was doing some GRC, I think some risk, which I really liked. I really like the way he laid it out. Is really simple, really easy. I highly recommend Jerry's masterclass for the GRC. It was really good, really well done. I'm actually going to talk with Jerry on Monday about it to give him some feedback with it. But yeah, and I mean, I would also say podcasts and find other people that you like on YouTube that talk tech too, like PBO or anyone else. I mean, you might not understand all the stuff that people are saying, but over time you'll hear the terms over and over and over again, and you'll start to understand it. You can also write them down and then look them up and to expand that knowledge, because when you're in an interview talking to people, it helps just to have that information.
What else did you want to add to the conversation on like breaking into GRC PBO, especially with it was what, systems analyst? Is that what he stated?
Yeah, I think like a business system analyst.
Yeah. I need to know what his job role is. I think we kind of morph job roles. But as a system analyst, I'm sure he's helping design systems and breaking them down. So from an auditing standpoint, you know what data flow diagrams is. You should have some probably high-level database background so you can put all that together. Once again, especially with auditing, right? So you should be able to take those audit questions and be able to, like everybody been talking about, using those soft skills to help you apply. But like you all said, it depends on the person, their background, and really, you know, cybersecurity's domain is so big. Red team, blue team, purple team, right? Auditing, SIM, SOC. I mean, it's just such a big domain. So it depends on, like you said, your background and what part are you trying to get in first. So.
I also will recommend, and it's possibly listed on Study GRC in that long list of podcasts. The risk management show is a pretty good one. They talk about risk, I haven't listened to it yet, but they have AI and risk management, revolutionizing regulatory changes and stuff. And then there's another one, I think it's called like GRC and Me, which I think is once a week or once every couple of weeks. And they both focus kind of like risk GRC specifically. So those might be something that's worth it just to listen to as well.
Well, and that's also a really good segue to on, what is it, the 6th? So on February 6th, Space Tacos right here will actually be presenting about learning styles, which also coincides with that as well. So that way, because like podcasts do not work for me at all. I like to listen to them like while I drive, but I drive for like maybe a half hour a month. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that one.
Me too.
I'll throw in a comment about the surrounding yourself with materials and GRC lingo and people and things. I know that Chris on his website, Study GRC, has loads and loads of resources. And I also have the Discord that I just tagged in the chat. I don't know if it worked with the tacos thing, but whatever. But I have lots and lots of YouTube content for GRC people and GRC companies. And they're always talking about something: risk management, vulnerability management, you know, getting audited. They're talking about, I've got auditing companies, software, all kinds of stuff. So get in the treasure trove and dig around and see what you can find. Because there's loads of what Flakinator's talking about. I have loads of that in the treasure. That's why I made the treasure trove, so you don't have to go looking for it. It's all over there. And the more I find, the more I dump in there.
Facts.
Yeah, and then also like Bearded Ruckus is also talking about the GRC masterclass as well. I mean, I think it's really, really good. It's a great starting point. And the biggest thing I tell people is do the projects throughout that as well. So I'm just going back over chat a little bit here. If anybody has any other questions, definitely drop those. I do see this one from Brexy talking about I am so lacking in soft skills talking about risk to management. They're always like, what risk? I think that's communication is what it comes down to, and relationship building, I guess. You got to have that buy-in, but then also document, get it in writing.
Yeah, Breezy, you don't have to be the best communicator. You just got to be able to communicate in the C-suite language. I just kind of learned by the hard knocks is the higher you go up, really, the less technical you talk, right? I talk to a CEO. They don't give a shit about an Oracle database. They don't give a shit about risk. What's my finding? What's going to cost me? How are we going to get in trouble? How quick can you fix it? That's really what they want to talk about, right?
Yep.
So
Downtime.
Yep. So,
RTO, all of that. That's how long is the business going to be down before we're not making money anymore. Make it related to money.
Yeah.
And that will help a lot.
Facts. We turn to operations RPO point of how much data can they lose when you bring them up, right? RTO and RPO.
Yeah, they want to know how it affects that bottom line.
100%. So when you come in there talking about risk, right? And a lot of times too is you can go risk top. I always go risk bottom up. So how do you come up risk? Your vulnerability scan is going to give you a CV of 10. That's high risk, meaning somebody can come take your stuff. When you do a vulnerability scan or compliance scan, they have risk in there already, right? So you just need to be able to package that up to be able to talk to it. So, Chris, you had that one you highlighted first and you took it off. Can you highlight that again? You read like the first line and it was super. The one. If you can find it.
Mine's only one line, so probably not.
I couldn't find it. You highlighted it. It was, what was it? I'll find it.
There's been a lot of them, to be honest.
Yeah, the Masterclass. The Masterclass guy.
Oh.
Apologize, Mr. Masterclass.
I'm not sure. Are you talking about this one?
Yep. He said I got an interview for a GRC after doing the course, putting it on resume. I didn't get the job, but okay, that's cool. I know if he wanted to talk about a job interview, he was great to have. My bad, I was reading slow. You like touched it. I was like,
no, you're good. So, I definitely want to make sure that we don't skip over anything too. So, yeah.
I think Space Tacos had a question she wanted to ask.
It's not a question. It's more of I completed the labs in Jerry's course, and they are on my website. So if anyone goes to my website, which is in the tacos thing, they're on the front page. There are those 5 little blurbs that I need to add more to because I'm a slowpoke. But I completed 5 of them. The security he called them just-in-time security awareness trainings. So they're really short, really small. They're
how long did it take you?
Easy to do. It just takes a minute.
Yeah, I need to go. He gave me access to the class. I just haven't taken it. I need to go through it. Because I'm using his as a prerequisite of mine. So I need to know what he taught him so I can figure out. Yeah. So, but 2 is, I don't know. We talk risk register. So a lot of people talk about labs and how should that flow and how to communicate that up too. So that's highly sought after, I guess, in the GRC realm.
Yeah, and then also, so Cyber Mom was asking about the masterclass. I'm putting that in chat right now, and that's a link to that course. And I also dropped a link to selling. It's called "How to Sell Security to C-Levels" with Chris Brenton through Wild West Hacking Fest talk. I think that was from. It was from a few years back, but I think it's a really, really good video showcasing on like. It's all about the money. Like you have to relate it back to money and in business language. So I think it's like 45 minutes in length.
And getting the confidence of the C-suite kind of takes some kind of wrangling, especially if your CIO or your CISO is not very strong in communication. So sometimes the whole team suffers because of that. We need more Stephs in the world. That's what we need. Shout out to Steph. We need more Stephs in the world. Less PBO, more Stephs.
Hey, it takes less
fighting.
Huh?
Less fighting.
No, Steph needs the heavy sometimes. She got to send the bad guy in. That is me. That is me. Somebody's got to be the bad guy. I am that guy. You got to have nice Steph, then you need the bad PBO. We got to work together as a team. Yeah, I know my role in as the company. I am the big bad guy.
Yeah, and you definitely stay in your lane. I know that.
Facts. Cybermind put out gap analysis, and I think that's something I'm going to dig in more. A lot of times when you do your scans, you have findings. So what's the gap? How do you register or communicate the gap up. You can close it. You can do a poem. You can do a risk assessment, risk exception. So how do you do a gap analysis? So I think a lot of people struggle with that.
What can a gap analysis be confused for? Could it be confused for anything else?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, part of the gap analysis, I think a lot of times when you give it to tech guys, they're thinking we're just fixing this vulnerability. We're fixing this. Oh, that's cool. You fix it. But if we don't communicate it as fixed, then theoretically it was never fixed, right? So I think a lot of people communicate from a tech guy, because I'm a tech guy. I'm just going to fix it. We got to communicate to the customer it's fixed. Or federal agents like the IRS came and give us an on-site audit. We got 30 days to fix it, or they might not let us get data right. So I think that part is kind of where you get a little communication, and you got to have the I think Steph brought that up, is a lot of times tech guys struggle with communicating. So a lot of times we have our project management groups, our PMOs communicated. So who's going to communicate it and figure out what's your security program communications to the customers, to the C-suite, to the federal agencies? All right, like big federal agencies, you communicating with a lot of people. Shout out to Larry.
And yeah, thank you for hopping up, Psychonator. You have a great rest of your night. And is Larry out too?
I missed it. I am the cyber villain. I liked it. I might put that on the t-shirt.
That's a good t-shirt.
The cyber villain. I think that's called. That might be PBO-cyber villain.
Or PBO the cyber villain.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Thanos.
We could just have a picture of PBO's face and have cyber villain on it.
Oh, we'll be coming up with something for sure. Thanks for hopping in as well, Coco28 Lopez.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I want to be Thanos, man. I want to be the villain, but I'm really good at heart. I want to save the resources of the universe, but I just want to murk half the universe, but to save the resources. Shout out to Thanos.
Yo, didn't you watch Rhonda Rummerfield's presentation about how to stay out of the gulag? You know,
that's true. That's true, though. But the cool thing is, I'm never in the gulag because I usually have the blessing of management to go get people. So when the project needs to move, they send PBO out on a special project to make that happen.
One of the things I was going to know is regarding that question. I've actually heard I think it's called a SWOT analysis, interchanged with gap analysis before, and that's when I was going through like some of the CISA material through ACI learning.
A SWOT.
So I was going to mention that part.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, SWOT: strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. I wouldn't put those together, but I can see how they do that. Because when I say SWOT, usually I'm talking about more of a business process. Well, I take that back, because even when you do a SWOT, you do have to have some operational things you have to put in. Usually when I'm talking about gap, I got to fix something. It's just not a paper drill. A lot of times I think SWOT can be a paper drill. So, but I can see that. I can see that, Chris. Strength, weakness. That's That
also brings me to the other part. When are you starting your CISSP study group?
No pressure. I will not let you put peer pressure on me, young man. I'm determined. I'm pushing back. I'm too old for peer pressure.
For that CISSP. I'm waiting on your study group.
I'm pushing back. I'm an only child. I don't play nice with others.
I'll be there. Your course is done.
I'm focusing on the course. I got to do some recordings tonight as I doze off. I said that. I'm tired.
So that actually.
Go ahead.
Well, and so that brings me back to in relation to your course, you talked about the case study and how you needed a few people for that. And I think we have everybody here right now. We could do that case study right here, right now.
Yeah, let's just do it live.
Yeah, the laptop got stolen.
I got to get the paperwork with her. I got the organizational in there. I think we're missing Dwight. We need privacy.
I'll wake him up. Let me give him a call.
No, I got to get the paperwork to everybody.
We need the A team. Come on.
Long story short, I haven't asked y'all yet. I was going to do, in my course, I'm doing a case study. And the part of case study was a desktop incident response where PBO works for Space Taco. My laptop gets stolen. So what is the communication? I tell Space Tacos, she's head of compliance. Chris is reporting privacy to the IRS, Department of Homeland Security, and our client because PBO had IRS data on there. He's about to get fired after this.
Ooh.
What would that look like? Communication.
That was unencrypted.
Yep. So I need to do some research on that stuff. In the old days, you used to get a safe harbor if it was encryption. I don't know if they're giving you safe harbor. You still have to report it. I think even if it's encrypted, I think now they want you to report it. In the old days, I didn't think they
the government. So
yeah. So I was gonna do that exercise so we can communicate that. How would they look like? And two is, since Chris the CEO, I always give them a homework where if PBO lose every taxpayer in our state, what would Chris want to be woken up? Or does he just want to wake up in the morning and find out I lost every taxpayer information? So what is that communication? Who reports to what? Then two is in our state, I think B-Dubs will be the CTO. We have to actually put in a police report because we have insurance on our laptop. So you have to do a police report. But once again, what would that communication looks like with this C-suite and who reports to what time frames? And state general attorneys, a lot of states, if you lose 500 citizens in the state of Indiana, you got to report it to the state general attorney. So having all those reportings, who's going to report it, what time frame, and once again, who does it? And two is, do we want to report to the Department of Homeland Security and stitch on ourselves? So
wait, you made B-Dubs your CTO?
I don't know what you want to be. You get promoted so much. I don't know what title you want this week. So
whatever title you want to give me.
Facts. So
and correction, it technically was a added responsibilities.
Okay, facts.
Yeah.
So now she's working a full-time job, side job. Two jobs with Study GRC. Yeah, it's just crazy. Less work for me. I'm all right. No, I'm gonna take a 2-week vacation as soon as we start on the 3rd.
So yeah,
putting that blog out every week too.
Facts. Shout out to the blog. So yeah, I was gonna do a desktop exercise with y'all for the course. So we kind of like get it together. So how we would communicate and who's responsible for what and how you document it. How you document it as an incident response exercise. So when you get out of federal compliance. So long story short, we would do it in teams, record it, right? So then we have it all, communications, who's responsible for what, type it up. So then when Space Tacos audited, we have the recording, we would have the exercise, we would have our things we approved on in the exercise. So long story short, so that's what it is.
Hello, everybody.
What's up?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Yeah, I'm excited for that. And then, there's this question right here as well. But yeah, I look forward to that. And also your course coming out that's going to have those case studies, right?
Yep. I got the first one, and I was going to do a FSMA, an IRS. Then at the end, I was going to do a small capstone on third-party risk assessment for a small company.
Yeah, and thank you, Steph Lewis, for hopping in and joining us tonight. Enjoy your dinner. I'm sure you'll probably be listening in too. And welcome to the party, pal, FedEx.
How you doing, everybody?
When's that course going to be ready, PBO?
I don't know. I'm shooting for the end of this month, but that ain't going to happen. So I'm trying to, realistically, I'll probably get hopefully 80% done. Then I think OJ wants to review it, make changes. Probably the end of February is when it officially released.
Man, I'm disappointed. I had my calendar marked to start your course on February 1st.
I know. I was trying.
Take my money, PBO.
So we might take.
I was supposed to watch Beat Ops today too, so things don't go always the way we plan.
Facts.
Sometimes they go better than the way you plan.
That's what we had. That's what we actually had to adapt always in our business. We had to be able to adapt.
Facts.
Sorry for my camera. I don't know why it's happening. It's not coming up, but
we have to turn it on.
Fine.
Actually, it's not being recognized by the.
Maybe if you restart, shut it down and turn it back on, it might work.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
Plug it back in.
Fast.
Turn it off. Turn it back on.
You want me to answer Breezy's questions? Go ahead, Chris. I was going to answer Breezy's question.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, anybody with experience with Big Four security consultants?
Yes, I have.
Has been harassed.
Yeah, I haven't worked for them, but I worked with a lot of those companies before when I was at DOD. When I worked for a large state company, I was working for a smaller consulting firm, but they were actually the prime running it. They work the long hours. They pay super well, but they're going to burn you out. So usually if you last 2 or 3 years, and me and Chris actually had this conversation a couple of times, is you make a shitload of money when you're done. Because if you Google Big Four and Indeed, a lot of times they're asking for Big Four experience because they assume you have certain processes, procedures that you bring in on to the company, and you bring in their, I hate this term, their methodologies from their big company to whatever company, smaller firm, state firm. You look at a lot of government, CISO, CIO, they actually work for the big firm. Once again, it's brutal though. It is brutal, especially if you working for the big clients on a big stage. They expect you to at least work 50 hours a week.
Nuh-uh. Not 50 hours a week. What?
That's low for them, but they get no disrespect. Space Tacos means I'm about to disrespect you. That's why they don't have a lot of. That's why they don't hire a lot of old people like me, because I'm not working 60 and 50 hours. So they coming in with some young dudes. They pay them decently, about 90, 100, but their bill rate's like $250 for junior people out of Central, those guys, because they're running them. So, but no, it's cool. I tell everybody, if you could, you should. The experience will be out of this world. They're really big on billable hours. If you can't get billable hours and they can't find you work, they're gonna fire you quick. But that's my 2 cents. Let me know if you want more detail than that. Who was that? Breeze? I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Like
Brexy.
Huh?
Brexy.
So Chris Breezy.
Yeah, I was going to address this a little bit too. Yeah, I think it's Brexy. Yeah, first of all, if anybody has any other questions or anything like that, definitely drop them in chat. I see it looks like AV Showtime's on his way out as well. Thank you so much for attending and hanging out with us for this period of time. We're an hour and 20 minutes in, so we still have about 40 minutes remaining before we kill it. So I did do a couple announcements there, but yeah, drop your questions. We'll keep the conversation going and so forth. And I'll drop the link for the open stage here in just a second as well. What I was going to state is I've talked to a couple of people who did work for the Big Four, one of which went from like a small business accounting and then got into one of the Big Four. I think it was is it PwC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So PwC, they worked for them for a couple of years. They got in with no actual audit experience, actually, making pretty decent money, did it for about a year, almost a year and a half, and then went off and went to the state side, making a little bit less money, but way better benefits and normal working hours.
What was his work hours? What was his work hours,
Yeah, the working hours was over 60 hours a week.
No.
And they were traveling like 90% of the time.
No.
CEO's not getting on anybody's airplane. Shout out to him. I'm too old to be on somebody. That's a young man's game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to play around with some of this. Let's see.
You can rep the old dudes. I'll rep the old chicks. The old broads.
Facts. I'm over eating cheese. I don't want to eat cheese on camera.
It's all good, PBO. And then B-Dub's over here with the fancy LEDs in the background.
That's funny.
RGB, all the things.
Yeah, it makes everything go faster, right?
Yes. That's how I'm so efficient.
Welcome to the party, pal, SC Cole or S Cole.
Yeah, I gotta get my office upgraded. Looking at Chris and B-Dubs, man, I'm looking like I'm from the 1990s. I gotta get it together, man.
Hey, don't disrespect the 90s, bro.
Facts.
90s were the best.
I was skinny in 1995. Facts.
Same.
That's funny.
There we go. That's a little bit different. You going to come up on the stage, Luke? I see Cyber Research dropped in as well. And guess what? There's even a command for him now because he's just such a great person, I suppose. Blue teaming background, SOC Center stuff. So that's his LinkedIn that goes to. I believe he has a website too, but I'm not special enough to know it.
Oh, man. Do some OSINT, bro. OSINT.
Shout out to OSINT. We did that online one time. I was on a live and he put his picture in OSINT on some site and it brought up his wedding pictures and everything. I was like, oh, that's too deep. He was doing it. Yeah, the dude that I was talking about, he used to be a nuclear engineer and he was doing so much cyber work, he switched over to cybersecurity. He used to work for Mandy at the Big Dogs, and he left. He's like a director somewhere. So
wow.
Shout out to Gabe.
Grab your guys' badges, by the way.
That's cool.
Something about readiness. Oh, okay, third party.
Yeah, I'm double checking the chat. If we missed anything, go ahead and drop it again, or otherwise. I'm going to skim the chat again, but I did drop in the chat as well about the weekly badge. So if you join our Discord server, then you can go to our live chat, and then you just put GRC Mafia in capital letters with a space in between the two, and then you get a badge next to your name for the next week.
They were talking about what's his name? I keep calling him Breezy. I keep thinking Chris Brown. What's his name? Brexy. Got help the older. I keep calling him Breezy. My apologies. He said, Larry, Microsoft has a readiness package for you to review. I don't recall where I read the past experience. They talking about third-party assessments review for that?
There's also this question here for PBO. So what was more about your experience working with the Big Four?
Actually, what is he asking?
So he's asking, like, how was the experience working with them when they came in as external auditors?
Oh, they're dicks. I almost got in a fight, man. Those guys make a lot. Their practice, which I ain't mad. Their practice managers make about $500 an hour, so they try to come in and control stuff. Oh no, PBA was running this DOD. You work for me, homie. So we both had to sit down and law. So, and I'm not gonna say they all like that, but they get paid to run projects. So a lot of times, I think they try to set precedents. PBO's punching you in the throat. You're not running over me. So facts. But the younger guys, the younger guys I thought was good. And two is one things I do give those guys is once you got cool with them, they gave you all their methodologies. I felt like I was part of one of their teams. So it depends. Each division in there runs differently. Whoever the practice managers, they run differently. Even though they have methodologies, some people, they come in, they kind of want to group hug and facilitate. One person's like, hey, this is a project. We got to get people in and out, and I'm running on over everybody but PBO. So, it just depends. But the cool thing, once again, I learned their methodologies. I work with those guys. They had some of the smartest people I thought on the planet.
Wow.
We were doing some big data. We were doing a billion rows when you only had a web server and a database. So I actually really worked for them. Once again, sometimes you just got to figure out who's the big dog. So some of that could be my problems because I want to be the biggest Great Dane in the room. So I can't put it all on them. So once again, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I learned a lot from them. They kind of was running the project. So I was picking up skills, and a lot of skills I took with me to this day of how to run a project, how to set up a team, depending on the technology, how to run different technology architects.
Yeah, and I was just going to start, within the first couple sentences there goes half of the sponsor potentials for Study GRC. Thank you very much, PBO.
Hold on, Chris. Hold on, Chris. These are PBOs. How you said it? PBOs experience.
Yeah.
This is not
going to lead with it.
Yeah, reflect Study GRC's opinions.
The comments that were just presented does not represent GRC in any way or capacity. It is only the personal. It is only the personal actions of PBO. If you have something to refer, please refer to PBO and his lawyers.
Facts. I do got lawyers.
And his lawyers.
We're going to have a scroll bar on the bottom with a disclaimer for PBO.
Facts. I need a disclaimer that these are my opinions and not the opinions of Study GRC, Chris, and B-Dubs at the executive spots. These are PBO's opinions and PBO's only.
Well, and I think that's a great example that you gave, though, there, too. The other people that I've talked to about actually working for the Big Four, they just basically said that it was just super hectic. They would fly into a city, they would be there for 2 days, and then with a team of 15 other people, they'd be working 16 hours that day. They'd sleep for 8 hours and then get back on a plane and go to the next city. And they do that 3 or 4 weeks at a time.
Booz Allen was doing the IRS stuff. I don't know if Booz Allen Big Four. They in there. They in the top one. I asked the guy. He goes, "We work on 3 assessments at the time. We're finishing the one up. we interviewing you doing your assessment. While we interviewing you, our next assessment, we're getting their policies and procedures so we can do them at night. I was like, that's crazy. So those dudes were like 16 hours a day. I'm like, that's insane. So the Booz Allen guys, that's what they were doing. So they would do three assessments simultaneously.
I kind of wish.
Yeah, and I see Dwight finally showed up for a case study.
Shout out to Dwight.
What was that, Space Talkers?
I was saying I kind of wish we could do that at my current job, just because working on a solo project, if anything delays, like if I'm waiting for someone to send me documentation, or if I need to wait for 2 or 3 days until they're free to have a meeting and I have to, I scheduled it, but it's not for 2 or 3 days. Or if I have something I've submitted for review from my director or my assistant general, then it would be nice to have another project to work on. But we tend to only do that at my company. This is not the standard. It's just where I work. We tend to only work on a second project as the first project is wrapping up. So like the final report, and we're doing drafts, and then I can get another project and start the research. But I wish I had 2 or maybe 3 at the same time, just to have something to be working on, so that it's not one gets stalled for a month or 2 for whatever reason. I have another project to work on. You're on mute.
Yeah, I was gonna say what I would do, not trying to give you advice, is as I was doing a project, I would have some I would learn, like Stride or some new GRC thing or some AppSec thing. So I would have that kind of in the sandbox.
Well, that's fair.
So
I can do that too.
Yeah, so I was trying to, my thing this year is, and I need to stop putting things on my business, trying to get my containers down. My Docker and Kubernetes are super weak, and a lot of companies are using the containers thing. So I'm trying to get better at reviewing Docker, especially Kubernetes are hot. So that's kind of what I'm learning. So if I'm waiting on something, I'm in somebody's sandbox trying to break something. Shout out to Luke for joining us with the fire in the background. Give a shout out for the fire, like Kevin Hart. We need that Kevin Hart. Yep, we need that Kevin Hart.
Does it sound better than that one interview I did, Chris?
Facts.
My man Luke.
We got fire in the background. We got fire.
I got a microphone.
I like that background because that's actually how GRC, how cybersecurity works. Like, everything is actually shutting. Like everything is on fire. For a C-suite, everything it has to be now. Like the users, you can call a user. Remember, when you're working with a user, it's probably the worst days right there. They cannot log in. They can't do their job. It has to be right now. And then you just chill. Like I'm in my office. I do the job and I help you out. So that Luke background is definitely what we're talking about when it comes to cyber. When it comes to actually everything.
Oh, shout out to
I think that Luke should be having that background when he's talking to clients personally, but that's just me.
Completely.
Yeah,
and me.
No.
Shout out to the future
It depends on what company I'm going to be with when I have this background. It'll be one that's I can do whatever I want and not get fired for it. So
facts.
That's fair.
Facts. You can't get fired.
But does the mic sound okay? I got my son a mic. It's a Focusrite like set up 2 years ago for Christmas, and he doesn't use it. And I'm like, gosh, in that interview we did, Chris, I'm like, it sounds like I'm talking in a tin can. So
I don't think it came out bad at all. But yeah, it's still that's coming in really clear. And FedEx has a fancy background there too. And welcome to the party, pal.
FedEx's background the best.
Yeah, I got a fancy background and a future GSC ruler right here.
Do you have a green screen?
Yeah, that is a green screen. That's OBS. That's running through OBS.
Okay.
You guys mentioned earlier that how do I get into GRC? What I do to GRC, and that's what I say. The comment that you do GRC in the daily lives. Like right now, being a parent, you're doing GRC because you put in policies on the kids. You put in you want them to do compliance. You want to see exactly when you have a teenager, you're doing risk management and what my risk exposure is, because you have a teenager, the communication, cell phones. I mean, everything in your daily tasks as a human being, we actually do in GRC. Now, we might not see it as GRC because, we're not accustomed to those fancy words, but in reality, that's what we do every single day. We test risk. We actually take measurements, and we decided what is the best path forward to the circumstances that are presented to us at the moment. So that's how GRC is interpreted.
Okay, so raise your hand if you think that's the basis for our next great talk.
What, GRC integrated in day-to-day life?
Yeah.
So is FedEx presenting, or?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I think he just volunteered.
I vote FedEx, but
shout out to FedEx.
I mean, we're great at peer pressure.
I second that.
Well, but the thing is,
and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I've been trying to work on an actual talk when it comes to, you gotta understand, I'm raising still a family, so I have a young one and I have a teenager right now, and I've, a couple of our friends are in the same age, same groups and everything, and they tell us, what do we do? How do we deal with this stuff? So for us, we see risk everywhere. But if you look at it, and I give you a really quick example. Over the weekend, TikTok shut down, the whole TikTok happened. And then what was the first thing that happened? People started immediately going to RedNote. People started going to add in these applications. They don't understand the risk of actually giving that information, to giving all the data to sign up. I mean, Generation X was actually having withdrawals for not having TikTok, because they wouldn't know able to access their TikTok for 2 to 3 hours. And that is actually where we look at it. Person like us, but I have my daughter to actually request every application, and when she requests the application, I approve it or deny it. And when I deny it, I go with her and tell them, look, this is what this application is doing. This is what, this is the terms of service. This is the manufacturer. Like, what you actually giving, because data is the new goal. And that's the same thing with kids. When we're raising a family, we actually looking what is our risk with our kids. So,
and I think you presenting that as either a talk or a series or whatever you want to do, because everyone's always like, well, how do I get experience? How do I get experience? And I think you speaking to the parenting aspect as a risk management, as GRC, can help people rephrase what they're already doing in their daily lives as legitimate experience.
I see that. I mean, I always say GRC is for the geeks and
awesome.
and the nerds.
Nerds are
because you guys like that. I got brought into GRC because I had no choice. That was it came with my job title, and I had to do GRC at my company. But then when I started seeing GRC, when I started seeing the risk, the compliance, and all this other stuff, I'm a person that actually thinks a lot of comparisons with real life things that happen to us, and I say this is nothing else than what we do in our daily life. We actually had rules, and then you break the rules, and there's consequences. I mean, you eat a red light, and you might get a ticket. That's a consequence for breaking a rule. If you don't set up a strong password and you give your password anywhere, your account can actually be compromised. So things that you do in your daily task can actually relate so much to GRC. So anybody that come and ask me and say, well, what I do to start in the industry, you're already doing it. I mean, take a look what you do on your daily basis and start going from there. That you might not know the CIS controls, you might not know the NIST and all the other stuff. I mean, I still don't even know those things. Those are really fancy words for me. But I understand risk. I understand compliance.
Shout out to NIST.
Yeah. Straight facts, homie.
I think that'd be a great idea to do that.
Yeah. So, I'll get with you and get you thrown on the schedule for the presentation. What kind of lead time are you looking at? A week? Tomorrow?
Funny.
All right.
We can do it tomorrow.
One thing that I said is that when we talk about cybersecurity, is that we roll with the punches. So sure, my answer will be yes, sure.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. We'll figure something out. That's for sure. I think it would be a great presentation. We do have one other question popping in here, but let's see. Yeah, I was going to just highlight your comment about GRC being nerds. I think that is a role of honor to an extent, but then also, just jealousy. I just want to throw that out there real quick.
I disagree. Go ahead. PBO disagrees.
Yeah, go for it.
I think
PBO.
GRC.
I think we're the knights.
Yeah, I think for me, GRC, you have to communicate a little more. When I deal with dudes doing similar. They never came out of their cube. So, but I get what FedEx is saying though. Shout out to FedEx. I think those guys. I work with guys with no common sense that are brilliant. When I was at DOT, so that dude is brilliant, but he can't talk to the customer. So.
Yeah,
and then we have this other question
that we
here.
lack a lot is soft skills. That is one thing that doesn't come easy. Soft skills. IT in general has always been the geeks, the nerds, the person that is quirky and doesn't know how to talk to people. And in reality, having that soft skill to talk to somebody is really important. And it's not come easy. I struggle a lot in that sometimes. I can actually struggle because sometimes I see things so simple and I'm frustrated. And at the same time, it's like raising a kid, raising a family. I'm frustrated trying to explain my kid something that is so easy for me, but I had to understand that in their eyes, it's the first time they're learning it. In their eyes, they might not be something that they're accustomed to see it. So that's why it's difficult for them for my daughter to learn something. Or that's why it's difficult to, even if she did it once or twice, it's difficult to do it. It's the same methodology we had to apply to our users. Yes, for us, it's simple. We do it every day. For the user, they might not do it every day. They might do it once every 6 months, and people forget.
Yeah, no, I think that's straight facts. And yeah, I think it's a good thing to realize as well. It's just like we had a red teamer up, and one of the questions, we've had a couple of the red teamers come up, and the questions we ask is what is your experiences working with GRC? And they've mentioned communication as one of those aspects. So definitely room for improvement and understanding that. I think it is stereotypical for sure, but there's quite a few people in that technical side, blue teaming, red teaming, that is lacking in the soft skills. I think this is a perfect question for Luke over here. So as blue team, how do you handle rejections from management and the GRC mixture?
So it's taken me a while to realize it's a long game, playing the long game, and because blue team, when you're on the blue team, when you're in your SecOps, you're doing whatever it is you're doing, you're in the operational part of it. You're just doing your job. You're looking at logs, you're analyzing, you're investigating, you're striving to understand, what mitigations need to be put into place, but you're not actually putting those mitigations and controls into place. That is, as far as the security operations go, that goes up to the security engineers, the management. I'm trying to think what other roles, things that I'm doing now that I really don't want to do because technically I'm a threat hunter. But working with, going to the CISO, and also GRC is a part of all that because that's InfoSec, and working with the risk and compliance folks on my team. There's requirements that need to go into place, but actually operationalizing, putting those into place with the tech ops and infrastructure teams, it takes a long time. And a lot of times there's a monetary restriction because all of these controls that are put into place, where's the monetary benefit from it? There really isn't. The higher ups, C-suite, see them as sunk costs. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. It's a long game, and it really took me probably until this last year. And I realized I've been in cybersecurity for almost 9 years now. But I haven't been in the role that I've been in as far as working and having projects that I need to implement and tools I need to deploy and being in charge of it.
I might add to that a little bit because, as you know, I do blue team as well. So the hardest part of my job is that I'm actually have a lot of hats at the same time. And to be honest with you, rejection is something normal. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get pushed back. The good thing about getting pushed back is actually when you actually get in the good old age, you actually pull this. You had to pull back and get some resistance in order to be launched somewhere. And that being said, you're always gonna have a no in life. It's how you make that no into a yes. So that with management, you had to talk the management level. You're not gonna make a change with the management, tell it that, oh, I need a TCP for so and so, and I need this EVGR, or I need this protocol installed, and so and so. No, that's a talk for the engineer. For the management, you're gonna be like, hey, this is what is gonna cost us down. So it's how you present the same solution, but you have to present it differently, and that's how you're gonna get the response and people to do what they need to do. But you gotta understand your audience. You gotta understand who you're gonna talk to, because you can't present the same solution. I mean, a great example is the newsletter from Jerry. If you actually subscribe to the newsletter, you see that he got 3 different breakdowns for CISOs, for the technical, and for the people. And what that does is actually is giving one message, which is cybersecurity, but it's breaking it down depending on the type of audience you have. Mm-hmm. And that's how you're gonna actually change that no and that rejection into a yes.
I think of it a little different. For me, and I've told this a number of times, it's their risk to accept. They're the business, right? I need to explain to them what risk they're accepting. But like Luke said, one time I went to the boss, I said, the IRS says we need another Cisco router for failover. They're like, we're not paying $250,000 for another Cisco router, Hightower. So long story short, I said, we got to do a POAM, we need it, but how do you explain that, right? To me, it's not a rejection. I gave the business the risk, they're accepting it or not. When you say rejection, you're taking it personal. It's not a rejection of me. This is the finding. I work for federal agencies. They say we need to do this. If you want to say no, when we get out of, they're gonna shut us down. That's your risk as the business to accept. So I wouldn't say it as a rejection. I wouldn't take it personal. But of course, I've been in the game for 35 years. So the rejection is their risk to accept. They're not rejecting me. I explained to them what the risk was. I explained to them the findings or what the ramifications of us not doing. Part of that could be us getting hacked, but it's the business's job to see if they want to accept it. Mm-hmm. Being the CISO, the CIO, the C-suite. Now you got board of directors asking for write-ups on stuff now at the bigger company. So it's not, for me, it's not a rejection. It's them accepting the risk or not.
Yeah, but keep in mind, you have to be able to present that risk, because all they see is $25,000 on a router, and they don't understand what that router does. But if you tell them, hey, we need to invest $25,000 in the router because if we don't do that, this is what we care to lose. This is how much you get actually to lose. This is the potential risk. This is what we're gonna get.
But they can still say no. They still can say no. They still can say no. I'm a great presenter. I think I'm a killer presenter, but no, you're right. You got to frame it in my. But a lot of times it's easy for me because I'm doing IRS or HIPAA work. It's not me saying it. This is the federal agency saying this is what we need to do.
Well, in your case, it's a little bit different. You just come with the ruler and say, "Dang it, this is the ruler. Right. You got to get it done." But
not right. But at the high level, I can do some mitigated controls. Right, we can do something different. Right, we can do a different architecture to make us as secure. But once again, and you're right, FedEx, you got to present it right so they understand what they're rejecting or not accepting. Right. Mm-hmm. So I want to put that in there. But once again, it's the businesses, and it took me a long time to be honest. Because like you said, FedEx, I see it so clearly that we need to do this. How you gonna tell me no? I thought I put up right, so I do see that right part up. But as I get older, I'm like, hey, you the business, you're gonna accept it or reject it. PBO still gonna get paid. PBO still gonna be fat. He's still gonna get a nice steak, and he's still gonna be okay, man. So that's my 2 cents. I'm gonna throw it back to y'all. What y'all thought?
Now I hear a keyboard, but I'll follow PBO and just say, I like what Dwight said about make sure you document it afterwards.
Oh, facts.
PBO, once they say, okay, we got it, but no thanks, then absolutely all the papers, please sign. Thank you, because now it's documented that I did my part. And you said
yourself.
thank you,
I mean,
but no thank you.
You should always CYA yourself, because if it's not in writing, it never happened.
Yeah, I know, but you would be surprised at how many people don't think you need to.
Oh, no. They know with me, because at federal, we're gonna talk about that, and in the class, we have a formal risk assessment. You got to put your name on it and date it, and it's coming from the CIO to CISO. So, and I tell them when we get finding, I'm going to send the auditors to you, so there's no confusion. Let's don't. So now it's quite clear, right? Because I do big system and big things. So now we got a risk exemption and a risk exception.
Right.
CIO or CISO name is going to be on here, not PBOs. Or Dwight. Shout out to the future privacy director, Dwight in the house.
There you go. The privacy.
Yeah, and like Dwight puts an interesting spin on it. We don't do band-aids. We write prescriptions and read the side effects.
Yeah.
I think it kind of depends, but yeah, I see the idea you have there.
You said
I mean, I think it's all straight facts there. Do what?
You see Brexy's comment? I'm trying to say it right. I keep calling him.
You got it.
Brexy.
Brexy.
Yeah.
But keep in mind when you read the side effects, you gotta make sure that you read them properly and know. Well, remember, this medication could take you, and then the user won't understand what you're saying, because that can lead to difficulties.
But like you said, though,
like I say, just put it in writing. Cover yourself. If you cover yourself, if you put it in writing, it happened. If it's just a conversation in passing, or if it's just a meeting and it was never documented, it never happened.
Oh,
why? Because we're humans, and humans Can you remember what you ate yesterday for breakfast?
No, FedEx, I'm pushing back. And Space Taco, notice. People let you forget so they can run over a bus with you. Don't be nice. People will set you up in this business. No, it won't be by accident. Shit, people set you up.
Yeah, and so that's why I wanted to pull this comment up. Is so from Fred on right here saying when both have a point when they still say no because of funding, it's not personal. I mentioned that I pulled this up because not only is that important, but also on the same topic as far as like getting it documented, getting it in writing, and so forth. Like I've previously worked for companies where, there's federal regulations on safety and so forth. And they'd be like, oh, I don't think we need to do a report. Like we'll just open the first aid kit and, let us know in a few days if there's a problem still, kind of thing. And yeah, especially in this industry, that is a no-go for sure. Yeah. Everything should be in paper. Cover your own self, but then also don't take it too personal. You're there like as an advisor. You're not a shareholder.
If they're wanting to accept the risk or whatever, make sure you have it in writing, documented.
Yeah.
Well, I do federal systems, so any finding, you got to have how you closed it. And one of those closing, Fred, especially for the state, because they're broke. So it's quite common for you to say, this finding is a poem, was basically a schedule. We're going to get funding in 2026, so we're going to buy our new Cisco router, or we need advanced security option for Oracle to do block level encryption or something. Or we got these machines and we can't put BitLocker on them because we don't want to spend the money, but we're going to do it in 2026. So now, Fred, also finding with a poem, which is scheduled when you're going to get money, is quite common, especially in the state space, because monies, and they always do their budgets like 2 years out.
Yeah,
a lot of times they could be getting a grant or something.
Municipalities work that way. Many municipalities
facts.
And state and locals work that way. So
yeah.
The good thing about putting it in writing is that you can actually budget it. So you can put it in the budget, you can put it in the system, you can put it how is it supposed to be. Now, one thing that you can also do, if you had the ability, is find out how can you trim some of the fat excess on some of the things that they're no longer in use. I mean, as technologies changes, you might be able to change also your technology stack and save some money in one way or another one. Now it is up to the engineer to actually implement it, but you'll be surprised sometimes changes a technology stack, how much money can actually save to the business enough to actually implement a new call it a new protocol, a new hardware. I mean, you cut in one places to you trim in one places to bring in the other places, but if you work in a cycle, it is important to establish the cycle of end of the life support, especially for devices. And I'm talking now as an engineer portion. If you work in this and you actually have to do the risk compliance, you know that if external software or hardware or operating system is coming to end of life, you should be planning it ahead of time. You should be putting that ahead of the curve so that way you don't get caught with the pants down. And now you're exposing your company and yourself to a liability just because you were not planning ahead.
I guess and he's right, but the only pushback I have is in the Fed space, we're scared to change anything because our stuff is so brittle. We be freaking out. We like, okay, if you're gonna pull this tech, we gotta test it, we gotta run it, we gotta test the infrastructure. And I agree with FedEx. He's 100% right. I just see such brittle technology, especially in the gov space. I'd be scared to death. Like,
so PBO, have
you still places using IE6?
Have you ever been in a?
Go ahead, Luke. Sorry. What did you say? Are we using 6?
Aren't there still places in the government using IE6?
Oh yeah. Very rare, but
because the databases or whatever tool that it was developed for IE6, and
facts.
Well, let me tell you one thing. When I used to work for AT&T, you go to the frame, and I used to work to the actual COs and the frames, and we still had Windows NT running some of those devices.
Yeah,
I mean Windows 95. Or even some DOS, because you're talking about POTS lines that were established back in the 80s and the 70s, and they are high priority lines that cannot come down.
Wow.
And the system was working and they segregated to that line in there, so therefore it's still an operational. It's crazy. It's crazy to find that. You're absolutely right. A lot of the US infrastructure is still running in a lot of old technology. It is at that point it becomes part of how the engineering department of how you engineer segregates and isolates the devices to make it secure your network, and you as a GRC need to make sure that they are implementations and that they are write-ups, so saying, hey, we know that we have this vulnerability, but this is what we're doing to mitigate and take the risk, and this is the controls we have around that vulnerability, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, you buy a hospital invests $300,000 or $300 million right now on an X-ray machine, and tomorrow they got a vulnerability. They're not gonna go and pop a new check and buy a new 300 million machine with no vulnerabilities. No, they're gonna work with that machine and they're gonna find a ways to segregate and mitigate that risk.
Yep.
And so also moving forward a little bit, so we are coming down to about the last 5 minutes or so. I just wanted to shout out Graham Helton as well. Hopefully that is the proper pronunciation, but we went over his low orbit security radar that goes out once a week. So I dropped that in chat. There it is again. But maybe we do need to talk a little bit about like Kubernetes, but then also containerized like Docker and so forth too. You ever do any stigs on that, PBO?
Yeah, if you go out, there's not STIGs out there. The CIS benchmarks, they have a Kubernetes check. So that's what I do when I do my hardening for Kubernetes. I use the CIS benchmarks for that. And from a GRC perspective, what policies, procedures, container. I'm an AWS guy, so I try to use their best practices for architecture. They have their EKS and their ECS, which is serverless Docker and serverless Kubernetes, and you just run it on their infrastructure. So from a GRC perspective, and I think if you go to their AWS config, they have compliance scans for Kubernetes. Let me look that up while we're talking. So once again, I was just talking about, for me personally, and I think from a lot of GRC people, containers are super hot. So how do you handle from a GRC perspective? Once again, we got to look at the architecture, the infrastructure, and how they harden. And two, what's the federal requirements for hardening a container, especially if it's Kubernetes? So PBO needs to know that.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious because I know that you talked a little bit about like, upskilling on that a little bit. I think it's becoming incredibly common nowadays. So I'm not that familiar with it or otherwise, but there's plenty of content out there for it as well.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. I forget which service it is on AWS that they have a special name for it, don't they? It's not Elastic.
EKS is their serverless Kubernetes where they maintain it for you, so you don't have to install it. You can just bring it as a service. I think ECS is their Docker implementation of that. So,
damn.
And I hopefully do like we talked to. I'm hoping to do some labs like that then too, from a compliance standpoint. How would you harden it and do a compliance scan? And like we said, findings. Talk to your management about risk for them running a Kubernetes infrastructure. So.
Yeah. Now, first of all, thank you all for coming up on stage. Thank you to everybody hopping in chat as well. We are coming down to the last few minutes, so I just wanted to do like one roundabout here. Did you have anything else to add or otherwise, PBO?
No, that was pretty much it. Thanks always for having me come up and hang out. If anybody has any more questions, I'm always into Discord, either Study GRC or Simply Cyber. So Chris helps me sometimes. I'm old. People be at me and I can't find them. I'm like, Chris, where the hell is that question at? So if you need me, just at me and the old person will find it. So I think Space Tacos added me a couple times.
Just let me know.
Yeah, Space Tacos hit me one time. I was like, so if you at me, I'll find you. So that's it. But once again, I think containers are hot. So that along with AI, so we got to figure out how to do GRC on it. So once again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm also putting PBO's channel in the chat as well. So you go live at 9 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday.
That is correct. Right? Yep. Late night with PBO.
And then B-Dubs, any final things to throw out there or anything else to add there?
GRC Mafia.
Bam. Did you want to mention your blog? That's free?
Yeah, it's a free blog that's coming out. New one's coming out Monday. Plus plenty there.
Every single Monday.
I have like 16 articles at this point.
Damn. And like you've done things like stepping out of the shadow, risk register. You just recently did one for PCI and like some of it pointing out like, make a friend. You need to get that copyrighted there, Luke. Yeah, you need trademarks or something here.
It's too late.
So under trademark law, it's mine, but I don't have it officially trademarked.
But yeah, I dropped that in the chat as well. Go ahead and drop your final questions or otherwise, and also I'm going to drop the Discord maybe I will. The Discord link as well to catch us all offline too. Space Tacos, anything final? Your exit?
Please be sure for the learning styles and wellness talk to bring something to take notes with. There will be a quiz.
So I'm going to have to put in for vacation for that night, B-Dubs.
No, sorry, you are VP. No excuses. So just make sure you have something to write with.
I feel tricked here.
That's okay. I'm going to pass.
And then also... Yeah, and then did you want to briefly go over your Discord again? I just dropped that in chat.
Oh, me. If you are GRC curious, or if you are GRC learning, or if you are GRC, please, I need to find something. The treasure trove I created is literally everything I could find while I was learning what GRC is. So if I don't have it there, please drop it in the general chat and I will put it in a very appropriate spot because I've got a lot of stuff in there. So between credentials and frameworks and the big four plus Booz Allen and what is risk, what is compliance, what is privacy, what is audit, there's so much stuff there and I keep finding more information to throw. So if you need any GRC information, get in there and have a look around, ask questions, but it's not, there's no activity. It's not like here where there's a party in the Discord for study GRC. That mine is more like a library. So, but please come and have a look.
Yeah, all kinds of awesome stuff there. And then FedEx, any final remarks?
Yeah, I would say you do GRC every day. So next time you go out, think about what you're doing, analyze the risk, see what your compliance are, and apply it. I mean, you are doing GRC every single day. So if you really want to pivot it into GRC role, if you really want to get into the industry, just start getting into that mentality. Change the way you think, change your thoughts, and start seeing the patterns of GRC. I mean, the compliance, and then everything will fall in places. You will start seeing like it's funny because you start thinking risk. I mean, the more I got into cybersecurity, the more paranoid I became. Why? Because it follows you, like it just falls in. So yeah, there's plenty of space. By the way, for those that actually, I think I'm gonna bring it in the Discord for you guys. But I saw recently, Honeywell was actually hiring with not experience. So if you're school or you're about to graduate, Honeywell was actually hiring positions, and great way to start up. Internship and
Bam.
GRC, and actually full-time positions too as well. They were looking for people just recently out of the school or still in school. They're literally, the post said, if you're still in school, we want you. So
nice.
And the prices are.
And I went ahead and dropped FedEx's YouTube channel as well, so you guys can check that out. Also, I think all of us, and probably everybody in chat too, is over there with SC in the morning too. So I'm going to drop SC one more time here. And then there was one comment I was going to pull up right quick. Oh yeah, Larry. So yeah, ain't nobody got time for quizzes button. Yeah, that is now added to my list. Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for quizzes. Yeah, I'm gonna have that prepped for the 6th. Nice. Now, Luke, any final remarks?
Yeah, don't take it personal when you're working and you get rejected and you're giving your recommendations. I mean, that's really what you can do. Document it. Don't take it personal. And find something outside of cybersecurity as a hobby so you're not doing GRC or security or whatever it is 24/7, because you will burn yourself out. And you look like me, I mean, that's
I mean, the beard's looking pretty good.
The beard's epic.
Facts.
Go touch the grass.
Well, and
touch the grass.
Well, and I think that's an interesting comment too, because also like PBO's talked before about how it took him a few years to kind of get that down too. To understand that, like, not to take things personal and to throw it on the business, basically, to an extent, not to take it so serious.
Yeah, because especially when I was younger, I'm thinking I'm doing this beautiful architecture, beautiful policies. I get it, they go, no. I'm like, so for me, Rob was taking person. But then as I start hanging out with the business and I start going into those high level meetings, people trust our IT, trust our GRC, trust you. When they start working issues, we were like 30th on the list. I was kind of offended. I'm like, why are we not hired? They go, we got bigger shit to worry about than you, man. We know you got your stuff. So I was like, oh. So that made me have a different perspective. He says, we know you think IT's our world, but we make money here, sir. So we trust you. We got bigger shit to work. Then I was like, oh, I think that's a compliment, right? So so there's different ways to look at it. Like, now, if you're number one and all your stuff is breaking and right, you ended up in trouble. But once again, I worked with big old teams, guys that had 40 years of experience, and I interviewed a couple of them. So our team was pretty good and they trusted. So once I started sending emails, they're like, yeah, you 31st on our list. I'm like, what? And they start going through that list. I go, oh, it's just not. Because when you're in IT and GRC, that's your world. You think that's everything. When you run a business, sometimes that's super small and from a business perspective. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Straight facts, homie. Yeah, so again, thank you to everybody who hopped up on stage here, B-Dubs, PBO, Space Tacos, FedEx, Luke, And everybody who hopped in and joined us throughout the stream, even if you had to leave a little bit early, that's perfectly fine too. I really appreciate it. Great conversations tonight. So we'll be back again. We'll have the privacy stream on Tuesday. And then I got to double check the calendar, to be honest. But we'll probably do at least one extra stream next week. And then, like I said at the beginning of the video, we're going to start doing 5 days a week starting on February 3rd, which is a Monday, where we're going to have Monday, Tuesday for hands-on, Wednesday for like GRC Let's Get Technical. Thursday is going to remain the same at 6 p.m. Central for this meeting here, which we have that scheduled the first 2 weeks being speakers, open discussions in the middle, and then job readiness and group resume review the last Thursday of the month. With that part said as well, so if you guys want to submit your redacted resumes, now's the perfect time to do it, because next week we'll have the job readiness video and meeting where we're going to go over the redacted resumes. The best place to do that is inside of the Discord server if you're not already there. And yeah, just thank you to everybody. Great conversations tonight, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and kill it here, and we'll see you guys offline. GRC